Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jasodanandana Brajan Janaranjana Jasodanandana Brajan Janaranjana Jamnatira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Nitai Gaur-Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto. Status Quo, chapter 21, titled Conversation between Manu and Cardamom, text number 4. Please repeat. Tasyam Sabai Mahayogi. Tasyam Sabai Mahayogi. Yuktayam Yoga Lakshanai. Yuktayam Yoga Lakshanai. Sasaraja Kattidaviryam. Sasaraja Kattidaviryam. Tanme Sushushave Vada. Tanme Sushushave Vada. Tasyam Savai Mahayogi. Yuktayam Yoga Lakshanai. Sasarja Kattidaviryam. Tanme Shushushave Vada. Tasyam Savai Mahayogi. Tasyam Anyone else? Tasyam Savai Mahayogi. Yuktayam Yoga Lakshanai. Sasarja Kattidaviryam. Tasyam, in her. Saha Kardamamuni. Vai, in fact. Mahayogi, great mystic yogi. Yuktayam, endowed. Yogalakshanai, with the eightfold symptoms of yogic perfection. Sasarja, propagated. Katida, how many times? Viryam, offspring. Tat, that narration. Me, to me. Sushushave, who I'm eager to hear. Vada, tell. Translation. Please repeat. How many offsprings did that great yogi beget through the princess who was endowed with eightfold perfection in the yoga principles. Is this correct? Oh, pray? Or is it, oh, please? Right? Oh, pray. Okay. Pray, tell me this, for I am eager to hear it. Seems like a mistake there, right? Pray, tell me this. I was just, please tell me this. How was it? Please tell me this. I thought it was a... Anyway, maybe all English, but or a mistake. How many offsprings did that great yogi beget through the princess, who was endowed with eightfold perfection in the yoga principles? Oh, pray, tell me this, for I am eager to hear it. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Here Vidura inquired about Kardama Muni and his wife, Devahuti, and about their children. It is described here that Devahuti was very much advanced in the performance of eightfold yoga. The 8 divisions of yoga performance are described as 1. Control of the senses. 2. Strict following of the rules and regulations. 3. Practice of different seating postures. 4. Control of the breath. 5. Withdrawing the senses from sense objects. 6. Concentration of the mind. 7. Meditation. And 8. Self-realization. After self-realization, there are 8 further perfectional stages, which are called yoga siddhis. The husband and wife, Kardama and Devahuti, were advanced in yoga practice. The husband was a Mahayogi, great mystic, and the wife was a Yoga Lakshana, or one advanced in yoga. They united and produced children. Formerly, after making their life perfect, great sages and saintly persons used to beget children. Otherwise, they strictly observed the rules and regulations of celibacy. Brahmacharya, following the rules and regulations of celibacy, is required for perfection of self-realization and mystic power. There is no recommendation in the Vedic scriptures that one can go on enjoying material sense gratification at one's whims, as one likes, and at the same time become a great meditator by paying a rascal some money. You can see Prabhupada's personality coming through here. There's a verse saying that it's impossible to understand the mind of a Vaishnava, but Prabhupada has very kindly demonstrated that. I remember that Buddhajan Prabhu once, he was giving a class and he told us the number that Srila Prabhupada would say these harsh words, rascals and mudas and all this. In Spanish, we translated that word into, rascal means shameless, right? But we made what's called an idiomatic adaptation, and now devotees commonly say rascalero. It's a new word in the dictionary. Maybe one day we'll make it up there. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha Sunyavari Pasyatyadesh Taline Vanchakalpaturuvyaschа Kripa Sindhu Vyavacha Patitanam Pavanivyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha. So, this is the beginning of the 21st chapter. And the Bhagavatam has its ebbs and flows. And we are entering into a very interesting section of the Bhagavatam where the story of whom is going to be spoken? Lord Kapila Dev. Lord Kapila will appear as the son of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. So that's like a just coming, right? Now coming. Krishna's teachings will be presented yet again by Kapila. But it's very important to see the examples of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. And Srimad Bhagavatam, as you know, it has 18,000 verses, which is more or less 25 times or so bigger than the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita has 700 verses. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, everything is condensed, and the essential, the ABCs, as Prabhupada called them, of the spiritual life are presented. Very concise form. But there is no examples. I think maybe a few examples, handful. Father of Mother Sita, Janaka. Lord Krishna mentions Janaka Maharaj. And he says other sages like that. Indirectly, a few times he mentions the Vedic sages, devotees in the past, etc. But he doesn't give names and surnames, and he doesn't give particular situations or pastimes where the devotees exemplify what he has taught in the Bhagavad Gita. But the Bhagavatam is full of examples. In fact, the Bhagavatam is, shall we say, full of examples of devotees committing mistakes. Sometimes big mistakes, sometimes slight mistakes, subtle mistakes, like that. So the important, shall we say, aim of this, the coming instructions from Kapila are there. But as Prabhupada often explains, perhaps it's even more important, the example of the devotees that came or that come with Krishna in his different pastimes. Right? I often mention what Prabhupada called the mantra of perfection in the Bhagavad Gita, which is 1873, which is the last thing between the conversation of Arjuna and Krishna, where Arjuna says, I will do what you ask me to do. Karishye vachanam tava. So, Kardama Muni's example, it's going to be quite explained, presented here in detail. And what is Kardama Muni's, shall we say, predicament, or apparent predicament? It's something that it's very valuable for us, aspiring devotees, because it presents a, shall we say, perennial struggle, right? There is a constant struggle for aspiring devotees. What's that struggle? What do you think is that? I mean, we all are, as you are devotees, I'm aspiring. What's the struggle? Material energy? Maya. The mind. What's that? Other living entities, especially other living entities. What is the main struggle for a devotee? Huh? Fear. Fear of what? Of many things. Yeah? Fall down. So the struggle of devotees is, as you rightly said, Maya, material energy. And in the prayer of Prahlad Maharaj, what we sing every day, Bahir Nishimho, which means externally, yeah, and also says Hridaye Nishimho. So the prayer, then Prabhupada explains that we can say simply, there are two kinds of danger. There are two kinds of demons, right? Bahir Nishimho, those demons or those dangers that are outside, Bahir. Bahir means outside, bahiranga. And Hridaye, Nishimho. You are outside, bahir Nishimho. So protect me from those things outside. But Hridaye Nishimho. Protect me from the Hiranyakashipu-like within my heart. And who's within your heart, apart from Krishna? Who's within your heart? Yes, you. You and I, right? Each one of us. So the danger or the risks of an aspiring devotee is mainly ourselves. So that sounds very pessimistic for a Wednesday morning. But what is it? What's wrong with us? Sometimes people ask, what's wrong with me? What's our problem? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, he writes this poem that Prabhupada comments or refers to several times. And the problem, it's called, or begins with the line, Tumi Kishara Vaishnava, in Bengali. Tumi means you, Kishara, ki. What kind? Vaishnava. Tumi Kishara Vaishnava. Which means it's a confrontation, shall we say, of the mind. What kind of devotee are you? It's a popular book. My spiritual master, Srila Jayapataka Maharaj, he commented on that book also. Tumi Kishara Vaishnava. And Prabhupada, as I said, he refers to that many times. So, the problem is that our mind, Indriyani Mano Buddhir, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, and Prabhupada very beautifully begins his purport saying, the location of the enemy has been identified. Right? Remember, I don't know the girls, but I remember as little kids when we play soldiers, war, like that. And then, there's one there, shoot him, like that. So, Prabhupada explains, Indriyani, which means the senses, Mano, mind, Buddhir, intelligence. This is where Maya enters. But there is a further or deeper reason. Why is Maya there? Because of our desires. So that's the essence, that's the bullseye. Our desires. So the examples, why I'm saying this, because the examples that are going to be presented here with Kardama Muni address that. It's a very interesting section of the Bhagavatam, very interesting. For majority of us, Grihastas, right? Because the issue is, apologies. Because the issue is that we have desires and we don't know what to do with them. But the simple thing is that when you're hungry, what's the simple thing to do? What's the immediate thing to do? Eat. Satisfy the desire. Right? And we can go on and on like that. So the tendency, or as Prabhupada often says, the animalistic tendency is just to go for it. Just satisfy my need. I need to do this. Right? There are books and theories and approaches and models of psychology that aim at that. What is your need? We are trained to ask people, what are your needs? What do you want? But they don't know. We don't know. But through the agency of the spiritual master, the Shastra, and Krishna, and the devotees, we start hearing this. Right? And that someday it clicks in your mind. Oh, that's right. I have been trying for so long to satisfy my desires, and here I am, frustrated, anxious, depressed, defeated, baffled, perplexed. Right? But there is someone that says differently. In many or most of our cases was Srila Prabhupada. I never heard someone challenging the material way of living or thinking like he did. It was very shocking, almost, I don't know, combative, abrasive. It bothered me. Honestly, I have to say, it bothered me. But it bothered me in a way that because he's so expert, that it's poking you. It's like, okay, come on. You want to argue? And I have said this before, but I remember the first time I got my Bhagavad Gita, my abridged version. My best friend, who actually took initiation before me, he said, it was a little book, almost like this size, like that, a small Bhagavad Gita in Spanish. And he came to my house, and then he said, if you have any intelligence, read this book. Like that. Like, phew. So, puffed up as I am, and arrogant as I am, I didn't put the book down, literally, for 4 days, and I read it from cover to cover. I mean, I went to sleep and things like that, too. And in those 4 days, I can say that my life changed, because I was defeated. Prabhupada defeated me, right? At that point, I was of the conviction, because I was in university already, so I was advancing, and therefore my conclusion is there's no God, and that I have to make the most of my life enjoying. I have to become a great architect and have a beautiful, the best bungalow in front of the beach with the best surfing spot in my hometown, right? And a place for my friends to crash, and my dogs, and this, that. Because I used to draw. I had pictures of it, honestly. One more elaborate than the other, what do you call those, the ones with 4 wheels? The quads? The quad bikes, and a whole bunch of things, And this is me. I'm going to be happy when I have all this. I'm really going to be happy. And Prabhupada in 4 days just bashed me badly, severely. And I remember finishing the book and thinking, gee, what am I going to do with my life? Now what? I'm about to go into 30 years of architecture. My mom had just bought me the Toyota Hilux. Had come out in that year. I don't remember which year was that. 81, I think, or so. And I was thinking, that's it. My bubble burst, right? Why? Because Prabhupada was determined to explain to us in the Bhagavad Gita that this material life, it's an illusion. It's just dreaming. I was here in class, Prabhupada's class yesterday, and he says, we're all daydreaming. Right? You heard that term? Daydreaming? So he says, you're either daydreaming or night dreaming. The whole day you're dreaming. And Buriyan Prabhu has his sutras, or his maxims, aphorisms. And he always says, the dream is that you think that someday, somehow, with someone, somewhere, you're going to be happy. That is your dream. He often says that, And again, it pokes me, it bothers me, because he makes it so simple. And I think, no, it has to be a little bit more complicated, right? A little bit more philosophy, a little bit more of a feeling. And he says, So that's the purpose of the Vaishnavas, to cut Vidyate Hridaya Grantis. Srimad Bhagavatam explains, first canto. Second chapter, that the knot in the heart needs to be cut, right? Just like a surgeon. He says, no, we have to remove that tumor. We have to remove that. Otherwise, you'll die. Simple as that. If you don't want to sign the, consent form, that's fine. Carry on. Good luck. Like one time I remember I was in Miami. I was coming from Mayapur. And then my Guru Maharaj wanted me to do something, to go somewhere, But I could see now that Maya had got me, And, I met up with friends that were in Miami, meaning devotee friends, the one actually that preached to me. And beautiful preaching there, A lot of Cubans, a lot of Latins. So, and the devotees were inviting me, why don't you stay here? And, you can do this, and you can go to universities, and we can do Harinam and Prashad. So I was just like a kid in a candy store. Oh, I can do, brackets, whatever I want, right? Because now I'm a senior devotee. I spent 5 years in Mayapur, a Brahmin, and I have served my Guru Maharaj. So my Guru Maharaj happened to be in Atlanta. So I got the word that in those days, no mobile phones, no internet like today. You evolve people. So we had to do the dialing, all that. So I called him. I said, yes, Guru Maharaj, no, all the prayers, etc. Here I am. He says, what are you doing there? And then I said, I'm here with Jan Masida, my friend, and he knew that he had. He says, I told you I want you to go and preach somewhere in South America. And I said, but Guru Maharaj, this, that, the other. And then he scolded me. He said, so many of my disciples, he said like that, are doing whatever they want. But I expected you to do what I want. So, if you want to do what you want, good luck. You're going to need it. And he slammed the phone. My ego, my heart, my everything had been crushed. So I immediately started planning to do what he wanted, But I remember I had to force myself to try to do that, Because we wanted to just do as I please, And you do what you like. Ichadovesha samutena. You are attracted by the things that are pleasurable, and you reject the things that are not pleasurable. That's it, simple. Like an ant, right? Whatever the ant senses that the sugar, sweet, goes there, right? Sometimes you see the ants there around the Charanamrita bowl, right? Yeah? Yeah? But you put something else, menthol or whatever, and then they run. They get all freaked out like that. So in the same way, just like animals, sometimes some of us, we're just chasing that pleasure, that what Prabhupada called it, phantasmagoria. Like that. So, therefore, the example of the great devotees, Kardama Muni, Devahuti, etc., great yogis, Mahayogi, Yoga Lakshana. Lakshana means decoration, I think, so like Bhushana, Lakshana. One of the characteristics, like the ladies wear earrings and different things like that. So she was Yoga Lakshana. She was adorned with the power of yoga, like that. So, Srila Prabhupada chooses in this particular purport to emphasize the importance of yoga. And he calls Kardama Muni a great yogi. So the question that we need to ask is, what is yoga? Right? There are many speculations about what yoga is, especially nowadays. Like Banu Maharaj was explaining here last year, that he says, it's very simple to define the yoga schools nowadays. Anybody remembers that class? I was impressed. He says, one of the characteristics of yoga schools nowadays is that they have the least shastra. The least shastra. Right? So the less shastra, the more attractive, appealing, cool type of yoga. Now so many yogas are coming up. Every so often this yoga, that yoga, everything yoga, put it there. Yoga, because yoga has become a big business. What does Prabhupada says here at the end? Who remembers? Or something like, anybody remembers? Huh? There's no recommendation in the Vedic scriptures that one can go on and join material sense gratification at one's whims, as one likes, and at the same time become a great meditator or a yogi by what? Paying a rascal some money. So Prabhupada all what Prabhupada is doing is representing what the Shastras present. In the Shastras, let's say it's Srimad Bhagavatam. I've been reprimanded not to always turn the Bhagavatam into a Gita class. So people come to hear Bhagavatam. Okay, so let's keep it in the Bhagavatam. Although Prabhupada does that too. The Bhagavatam says, the second verse of Bhagavatam, what's that verse? Dharma projita kaitabo. That this Srimad Bhagavatam rejects dharma or duties or so-called religiosity or so-called spirituality, that it's fake, cheating dharma, cheating yoga. This is yoga. So this is what Prabhupada is presenting here, the real yoga. So the question is, what is real yoga? You are all yogis, bhakti yogis. What is real yoga? You know the answer anyway. Connecting, yes, with God that has a name, a surname, an address, and phone number, as Prabhupada often says. Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. Yeah, that's real yoga. This morning, Srila Prabhupada said, not this morning, that was maybe 50 plus years ago. But Prabhupada says, the highest yoga, you know what the highest yoga he says? It's amazing. I was just thinking, let me look, because there's no, at least not that I have, recorded lectures Prabhupada in this chapter. There is, I think, from the 25th chapter. So I was hearing something from Prabhupada further. But it's practically all that section that talks about yoga. Prabhupada is explaining yoga. And he says the highest yoga is preach Krishna consciousness. So let me see what Prabhupada has to say about this. And the first thing practically that he says, the highest yoga is to preach Krishna consciousness. Amazing. Now let's unpack that, and Prabhupada does unpack that in his class. Why do you think Prabhupada would say something like that? The highest yoga is to preach Krishna consciousness. They're Prabhupada's words. Anyone? Thank you. Exactly on the nail. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam. Right? There are many yogis. Yoginam api sarvesam. 647, Bhagavad Gita. The highest yogi is the one that is connected with me. Yoginam api sarvesam. Remember that? Yoginam api sarvesam. Mat gatena antaratmana. The one that carries me within himself or herself. Shradhavam bhajate yomam. Same yukta tamo mataha. Krishna explains who is the highest yogi, the one who's connected with him. And Srila Prabhupada explains that the person who's able to connect with the desire of the Lord, that is the highest yogi. And therefore he quotes Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam. What is that verse referring to? Who knows that? Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam verse. Srila Rupa Goswami, right there. Srila Rupa Goswami, the head of the Goswamis. Srila Rupa Goswami. So, Rupa Goswami was thinking, if we can put it simply, what does my Lord want? What does Krishna want? Right? We come in front of the deities, we see the form of the Lord every day. And then what do? We admire his beauty. We admire how the pujaris have decorated the deities that day, and the turbans and the flowers and the color matching and all the intricate things that the pujaris do. And it's amazing, everything, so much devotion. But do we ever think, what is Krishna thinking right now? He thinks, right? Does he? Yeah. In the Shishupanishad, we have been studying Shishupanishad for the last couple months, and it says there that Krishna is a Muni. He's a philosopher. Prabhupada translates. He's a philosopher. So what is a philosopher? Someone that thinks. Correct? Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita also several times he says, Mama Matir. This is my opinion. Literally means this is my head. Right? Like you have a, head space. You know what? Head space. A mental state. Thinking power. So Krishna, just like he has feet, has hands, has face, etc. Right? He also has a mind. So Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam. He's thinking something. And what is he thinking? Basically, if you can have a guess. I mean, he's thinking many things, but what do you think he's thinking? He knows everything. You should be here.
In the Bhagavatam, where it talks about how the living entity, lifetime after lifetime, continuously got their back towards Krishna. Krishna's always there. When are you going to turn to me? When are you going to turn to me? Waiting anxiously for the devotee to turn towards you.
He's just waiting.
Yeah, waiting.
Amazing. We were studying the Gita and also Upanishad, and something that attracted everyone's attention was how Paramatma is with us all the time, right? Paramatma, the lawyer, he's the lawyer in the heart, right? And one simple way that we remembered, and many of the devotees remembered it also, kind of a humorous way, the Upanishads, they give this analogy that there are two birds in the tree, right? And there is the Jivatma bird, right? And it's eating and, doing things. You see birds, they don't look spaced out and bored and depressed. They're working, they're into it, right? Looking for the warm and whatever they're doing. But there's a super bird, right? Just sitting somewhere in the tree of our life, and just waiting. As Prabhu explained, he's just waiting. What is he waiting for? Prabhu says he's waiting. What is he waiting for? Our attention. That's what the Upanishad says. Prabhupada quotes in the 2nd chapter, that turns, its attention and becomes somewhat favorable. And I was hearing yesterday Mayaprabhu's class and Navinanirada Prabhu, the famous book distributor. He was saying that moment, he wasn't referring to that verse exactly, but I connected it because the way he presented it. He said, there's a moment that Krishna appeared in your life. There's a moment that Krishna appeared in your life. And if I'm sure that all of you would remember that moment. Somehow. Maybe there were a few moments, but I still remember the first time I saw the devotees. I was 7 years old, 1970 or 71, in America, in New York. I was a kid. They're going to cut my hair. I hated my hair being cut. I hated it. I will cry, throw tantrums. Never liked my hair to be cut. Here I am. And they were taking me to the barber shop, my mom and my auntie, and then I saw the Harinam coming there. 1970, 71, Sure Prabhupada was somewhere in the planet. And still I remember. I have said this many times. And then maybe the first time that somebody approached you with a book. Like that. So Krishna appears in your life, just like Narada Muni. Yeah? Not exactly, but Narada Muni, he heard from the Bhaktivedantas. And we may have heard from some Bhaktivedantas in our previous lives. And in this life, by Krishna's mercy, he sent some devotee, hey, I have a book for you, or here, have some prasadam, like that. So Krishna appeared in our lives because we have practiced, as Prabhupada explained, this in our previous lives. Generally the devotee says, no, I have not, I never heard the word Krishna. I mean, South America is the farthest place from the Holy Dham. The farthest. You're in the ocean either way. So that's the farthest place. So how is it that, the devotees were so attractive? I was just like, what's that? What's that? In those days was the hippie era. And everyone had long, long hairs. Everybody. Yeah. I remember my cousin's boyfriend and everyone around. It was the hippies, And these people were like angels, like almost floating. So Krishna appears in our lives. And it depends, Prabhu said, Krishna is waiting. Krishna is waiting to see your response. And your response, if it's favorable, normally, because there are exceptions, if it's favorable, then Krishna gives you more. Right? That's the thing. It might be some kind of admiration of sort. Oh, wow, this is far out. Huh? And then I remember then we moved to LA. And my dad took me to find some apartments. We were going to rent an apartment in Glendale. I remember the suburb. And we were looking at an apartment that we ended up renting eventually. My mom stayed back in New York, New Jersey. And I remember that we were opening the windows. He was a little kid, so he told me, check. He always told me to do something so I don't do mischief because I was very naughty. He says, check if all the doors and windows work. So I was opening and closing and checking. Just that. And then I opened the street door, the street window. And then I saw the devotees. Huge Harinam, bigger than the one that I saw in New York. Another, like maybe after a couple months, I don't know exactly, I remember. So the devotees again appear like that, And I said, hey, Dad, look. These are the people that I saw in New York. Like almost saying, they're my friends. So Krishna appears. Why? Because he wants us to reconnect. That's what yoga means. And that's the highest yoga. So eventually, by the association of devotees, one is able to understand. This is what Krishna wants. Let me do that. Karishye vachanam tava. Let me do as you say. So, the question that we have to ask is, how much bhakti yoga are we really practicing? How much are we willingly trying at least to do what Krishna wants me to do? It's not easy. It's not easy. Why? Because we are so used to not doing that. We're doing exactly the opposite. And sometimes the problem is, and that's why the acharyas have written so many literatures, have written so many songs and poems and explanations, because they are warning us. Just like Rupa Goswami, he wrote the Upadeshamrita for neophyte devotees to be encouraged and to be warned that this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do. And then you can achieve the highest perfection, which is pure love of Krishna. So that's why Bhaktisiddhanta writes this poem. It's a poem, it has different stanzas. It says, Tumi Kishara Vaishnava. So it's like standing in front of the mirror and asking yourself, what kind of devotee are you? Who do you think you are? That was one of the famous lines in the ashram. Who do you think you are? Like that. And sometimes it's hard, right? If somebody comes and tells you, what kind of devotee you think you are? You think that because you have a Sika or you have a Kunti or because you have this or that, you are a devotee. What kind of devotee are you? Right? So we don't recommend that you go around like a machine gun, and start, what kind of devotee are you? This is meant to be for us. This is meant to be for self-reflection. So, Kardama Muni presents a wonderful example. And this is just the warm-up, like the prelude of what's coming. Because at one point, he asked Krishna himself, I have this desire, and I want you to please help me with this. Tell me, indicate what should I do, and how should I do it? And Prabhupada explains so beautifully in those purports, this is pure bhakti. So it's kind of contradictory, we may say, because we have desires. We have desires. So if you have desires, that's the first symptom of first disqualification in the yoga practice. Prajahati yada kaman. That's what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. The first thing that we need to target is our desires. It's not that you become desireless, Prabhupada said this morning. If you become desireless, that means you're dead. Right? You're not dead. In fact, you'd never die, but that's what Prabhupada explains. So it's not a matter of killing your desires. It's a matter of, Prabhupada liked that word, dovetailing, directing. Krishna, I have this desire. Please, let me know if this is a bona fide desire or not. If you want to, Krishna willing, as we say, let me fulfill that desire. So you are pleased. So, Karnama Muni, Mahayogi, as it is mentioned here, he had desired. But he went to Krishna and he asked him to please help me with this desire. And his intention was so pure. Srila Prabhupada explains that what happened? His son was Krishna himself. Krishna, just to confirm that that's what he's looking for. Bhaktyamam abhigyanati. I'm going to appear, as your son because you're such a nice devotee. So, Srila Prabhupada often taught us that that's all what we want. Just we want to be. Don't turn it off. Ghana, turn it on. Oh, it's on? Oh, right, sorry. I thought you turned it on. So, Prabhupada explains that all what we want is to make Krishna smile. That's what we want, But that's a funny thing because Krishna is always smiling. Have you seen any photo of Krishna sad? Krishna is always smiling like that. So, that's the intention. That's the greatest yoga. Srila Prabhupada explains. And he goes into details here about the different perfections of a yogi, right? And to the point that, we didn't have time to elaborate much on that, but they eventually have children. And he says that great sages in the past, after all their austerity, all the penances, all their sense control, they will produce children, right? So this is something, and Prabhupada refers to this in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 6. He says that bhakti is so powerful. Bhakti is so powerful. For example, in other types of yogas, in other types of schools of yoga, proper yoga, not just speculative yoga, one of the characteristics, or one of the requirements rather, of any strict school of yoga is what? Celibacy. You cannot get married, you cannot have any, funny business. You can't. Because you have to dedicate yourself, the Shastra says, 100 years to that particular practice. You can't. But Prabhupada says, the power of bhakti is such that even a grihasta can become a paramahamsa. Like that. So, this is the message of Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is emphasizing the potency of bhakti. That through bhakti, we can control our senses by connecting them with Krishna, the spiritual master, the Vaishnavas, the scriptures, and to the point that we can produce children according to the rules and regulations. And these children can become also very empowered souls. Hopefully, right? To the point that even Krishna himself wanted to appear as the son of one of those great Mahamunis. So I'll repeat the end of this, and if you have any question. There is no recommendation in the Vedic scriptures that one can go on enjoying material sense gratification at one's whims, as one likes, and at the same time become a great meditator. That's false propaganda. Prabhupada says, continues, by paying a rascal some money. That makes you think, yeah, you're a great soul, you're so advanced. Come, give me a hug and give me some money, and I'll make you think that you are such an advanced person. No, you're not. You have to purify your desires. We have to understand many, many things. And hopefully, at the end of life, ante chame kalameva, we will be able to fix our mind in the desires of Krishna and achieve perfection. Okay, we stop here. If there's any questions, we have a couple of minutes. If the prasadam is on time.
Thank you, Prabhu. Just this topic you mentioned about, like in your case, just with the Harinam, it seemed like back in the times, people that came in contact with Krishna consciousness were very quickly reawakened, it seemed like. And now we hear that, this is devotees say, many devotees say this, that all the devotees that were devotees in the last lives are really all joined up. Now we're working on a new crew, and it's going to take a bit more work, and because it seems the amount of exposure that the people are getting to Krishna consciousness through Prasadam, Harinam, engaging in Kirtan, and still doesn't seem like it's enough of a trigger for them to want to surrender to the process of Krishna consciousness. People seem to be more stubborn these days.
Well, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj used to say, the purer we are, the stronger we are, the more results. And I would need at least another hour to give the long version of that answer, because my conviction, at least, is that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that we find here at the left of Srila Prabhupada, he explains that we need to organize our effort. The highest yoga is, according to Prabhupada, what did I say in the beginning? Who remembers? The highest yoga is preach Krishna consciousness. So the more that preaching endeavor, which is saving people, it's like, imagine if there would be any hospitals around, right? And some people some quacks and some other, do-gooders that know something about medicine, and they're somewhere, but there's a hospital. So we need to organize ourselves. And then they have medical centers in different places, right? So the more we organize ourselves, and to make it simple, since we don't have that much time, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicts is that this worldwide web of Krishna consciousness, it's rooted in the homes of the devotees. So the moment we start opening our homes, then there will be like a forest fire that unfortunately now it's affecting Los Angeles, and there are wars everywhere. But just in the same way that you can't stop something, it doesn't matter how much infrastructure you have. In the same way, if we open our homes to the Vaishnavas and allow the holy name to go into those homes. I was talking to someone, he says, anyway, in a candid way, I was saying, why to drive more than 1 hour? We have a town here, we have this town, that town, confirmed. So anyway, I think that if we organize ourselves, that's on one hand, and many others, Ravindra Swarup Prabhu and company, they say if we chant our rounds, and if we have better association, devotee association, we stop being so kanista, like in my case, criticizing others and judging others, and we become stronger in our bond with the devotees, then we become more powerful, and people say, oh, I want to join these people. But if they get to know that we're fighting with each other, as soon as we turn around, this guy, he did this, she did that, blah, blah, blah. It's not different than outside. I'd rather just watch the news and watch some, soap opera or something. So it seems like that, I think, to some extent in some places, because Russia, China, Middle East, South India, what I have seen in many places in India, it's because the devotees are, I think, much more organized in their preaching. So if we get together and then we say, okay, let's do it like this, This is a Look at this, you know. How many places in the world you have every single day and night so many people coming together? And they are, in many ways, willing to hear Krishna consciousness. So how much more can I do, my little grain of sand, for Sri Chaitanya to be pleased, to Lord Krishna be pleased, and everyone be satisfied. Jayatma suprasidati. That's my 2 cents worth of opinion. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki, Gantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. One added benefit of Bhagavatam is that you forget all your pains. When I'm sitting here, it's like my hip, it's not there anymore. Otherwise, it's always, That's the effect of Bhagavatam. Yeah. Don't disturb.